Andy Reid said, let's put the band back together again. And I think it's an interesting idea. You got to add a little flavor, and they're doing that as well. We're breaking it down on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen today on Locked On Chiefs, your daily podcast for the Kansas City Chiefs here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports network out there. Thank you for listening every day. You everydayers make this world go round, and we can't give you enough appreciation for that. So we decided to make a club just for everydayers. You guys can check it out. It gives you the bonuses and a new way, cleaner way to listen to us. This is a day that has been maybe more newsworthy than we expected. We're going to break it down for you here, starting with the fact that it appears, according to reports, that Eric Bieniemy will be rejoining the Chiefs staff. Not something I thought was going to happen. I'll explain to you why coming up. The Chiefs have a new wide receivers coach, one that has some experience, that goes back 20 plus years to Kansas City. We'll break down Chad O'Shea rejoining the staff here. And then bottom line, what are the needs that are left? How do these things work? And is there enough difference in what has been here before? We're going to help you out. If you don't know us, this is Chris Clark, my partner of 9+ years on this show. We've been working the Chiefs beat on or off, blog, audio, or otherwise, for going on 30 years between the two of us. And it's been quite a road show. This is going to make it even that much more so. You can find his work at KC Chiefs Corner. I'm Ryan Tracy. I break down athleticism and advanced metrics for performance and production over at rogueanalytics.com. Get you ready for every draft there is in every aspect that you want to know. You can find my work at NFL33.com along with my staff, breaking down the rest of the league, and RGR Football, where we look at this team as well. Lot to go over here. And Eric Bieniemy, we just said yesterday, neither of us really felt this was in the cards. When Eric Bieniemy left this team, it felt as though it was tired. It was frustrated. It was a little bit of contention is the way it felt to me and with the people that I had information from. I didn't think they would get back to this point, but honestly, Patrick Mahomes kind of hinted at what they were looking for. The accountability factor is certainly the #1 angle that Eric Bieniemy brings to any club. Now, he's been gone for a little bit. He's brought accountability, but he hadn't been overly successful while he's been gone, either at Washington and at UCLA, back to the Bears, and they have been running well. He has been in charge of that room as a running back coach again. But I think it's a little bit of, hey, he's learned a couple of things, and whatever we were at before, we were winning. So let's try to run this thing back and put it back together. That's how I'm seeing it today. What do you think?
I have a hard time disagreeing with you with that. I do think that there's probably a little bit more to that. I do. Right before we started the show, I was looking on X to see if there's any more updates on any other coaches that possibly could be coming in, because the Chiefs still have a running back coach open. Wanted to get more information on the Chiefs wide receiver coach a little bit. But one of the things that stuck out to me about Eric Bieniemy that I had forgot about is when his time was done in Washington, he actually went to Baltimore and helped the Chiefs game plan for the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said about that. And I also think, while it's surprising to me because I didn't think that they would go this direction, accountability is something that he has always brought. So that part of it doesn't surprise me. The thing that I think some people are going to be concerned about, and I'm not going to lie, I have a little bit of concern about, is that it's kind of going back to what you already know, as opposed to really kind of shaking things up. The other side of that coin, though, is Bieniemy has done things on his own in Washington a little bit. He's been in UCLA. He's seen some different things there. And then he saw some different things with Ben Johnson as the Chicago Bears head coach. So you hope that maybe he's going to bring some of that to Kansas City. And the bigger thing that he is definitely going to bring as the offensive coordinator, other than accountability, is a bigger emphasis in the running game, and maybe even a bigger emphasis in just the running scheme and in game planning when it comes to the running game. So we'll see how that goes.
I can only hope. Cross myself and see what happens. I do like that aspect. And I do think that no matter what the stress level was before and maybe the desire to get out on his own, to try to go get to the point where he can be an OC somewhere and maybe get a head coaching gig. I do think that time and stops along the way do smooth out some of your rougher patches. He's still going to be a no BS, get in your face and demand results type coach. But maybe in his interactions with the other staff or with Andy in particular, maybe it does become where it is a different tone or a different way of interacting. And that's why, even though for a lot of fans, this feels like, oh, we're just going back to what worked before. Well, A, it worked very, very well. And B,
Mahomes was an MVP.
Right. Yeah. Let's make sure that we emphasize that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will say that it's the same song, maybe a different set of instruments or a different way of playing it. Right. Maybe this is a different groove of the same song with the same band. Let's hope that they can get to that point and bring some new aspects and some new ideas off of a group that was very creative together and able, as Patrick even mentioned, to come up with new concepts that threw the league for a loop.
Yeah, and let's not forget, when Bieniemy was here, they did some different things, and it doesn't seem like this offense has really changed much in 2 years. So you have to wonder, how is that going to play into this the second time around? You would hope that he's going to bring some creativity, which is something that Patrick said. And the other thing is I can't imagine that the Chiefs didn't make this hire without Patrick Mahomes having some at least input. I'm not going to say he had any kind of say. I'm sure this was the Andy decision and whatnot, and that's fine. But you know that he had to have at least talked to Patrick about this, because there's no way you're going to make an offensive coordinator hire without at least talking to the guy you expect to be your quarterback in 2026 at some point, whether or not it's week 1 or not.
I have 2 predictions for you as well. One, whatever running backs are on this roster next season, they will hit that hole with some ferocity. I guarantee that. Whether he's in the OC role or the RB role, it doesn't matter. The other thing is we're going to see that porta potty drill back at training camp. He might not be running it, but I'll bet you we see that again, and I'm here for that. Like, you got to get down to the parts that make you better, and I think some of these idiosyncrasies are actually part of the fabric of what that team was. But Eric Bieniemy is not alone.
No, he's not. And really quick, all I was going to say is, when you look at what this is going to mean for them, it means bringing back some ferocity. It means bringing back some drive and some passion to the offense, because your coordinator is absolutely going to have it, and he's going to give it to you at times. You saw that if you've ever been to training camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Or within hearing distance of anything on any sideline. But
yep.
One guy that will have to make an adjustment, I don't know that he's worked with Eric Bieniemy before, but the Chiefs have a new wide receiver coach in Chad O'Shea. He's been to Kansas City before. We're going to break him down next.
If you've ever hired somebody who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I need to hire someone for this show, I go straight to Indeed to be very specific about what I need. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored jobs helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a higher than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners to the show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in every opening, beating your PR, and beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and EFTs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Folks, if you haven't checked out the Everydayer Club, go take a look, because especially for those of you that never want to listen to me read an ad again, if you do this, you won't have to. You get access to our ad-free audio feed that's applicable to any podcast feed. You can get that, and you get access to our Discord specific to our show, our team. It's at lockedonchiefs.supercast.com. That link will get you. You can go there and learn all about it. And I want to learn all about what you guys think, because I was talking very specifically about some of the things that I wanted to see happen, and I did not get my wish. Kevin Stefanski is the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons today. But if I was going to get the next best thing, the next closest thing, it's a guy that helped him set his passing table on every game for the last 6 seasons in Cleveland. Chad O'Shea is a guy who's been in Kansas City. Back in 2003, I believe he started as a volunteer, from what I checked. The most interesting thing is I've talked about the fact that I liked Stefanski because he's willing to run the ball. He wants to set up the tight ends to be successful, and he's been able to get play out of players. Chad O'Shea has been the guy doing that with Jerry, with Amari Cooper when he was there, obviously with the tight ends and Njoku, etc. And I do think that if Stefanski was not going to be able to come here, at least in terms of the passing game coordination, I do think that Chad O'Shea is the next best thing if you wanted to see that. And I personally feel the biggest difference between he and Connor Embry, who he replaces, is experience and the ability to work with not only young players, but star players.
That's a huge difference between the two. You look at Connor Embry before he became wide receiver coach, no experience, and you look at O'Shea, and he has been a wide receiver coach since, I think, 2008. Every single year in the NFL since 2008. Like, this is a huge hire for Kansas City, and it should be I'm not going to call it a home run hire, but it's going to be a very good hire just because he brings experience. He brings what this team lacked at that positional coach, and you've seen it with the wide receivers not developing in Kansas City. You go back, Tyreek Hill was a great wide receiver and kind of developed, but he has a unique skill set that almost nobody in the NFL has had since, and probably never, well, I won't say never will have, but close to never will have, because of the speed and his ability and his agility and all that. So it's a little bit of a different nature. But outside of Tyreek Hill, who in the wide receiver room has this team ever really developed? Name one wide receiver they've developed.
It's been thin. It's been very, very thin.
And they've added how many, like 2 second-round picks and a first-round pick, and obviously they've added a couple of others at different in lower rounds as well. Royals being the newest one, a third-round pick. So we'll see how that turns out. But not being able to develop some of those guys, Skyy Moore, obviously everybody wants to talk about Skyy Moore, and I get it, but he at least looked like a serviceable wide receiver at times in San Francisco this year, after working with a different wide receiver coach. And don't get me started on the special teams aspect of it, because he looked like a better returner there too. But we're talking about the wide receiver coach at this point.
And I think Skyy is probably the best example there of what just a breath of fresh air and somebody who can actually teach you how to do things does for you. There can't be any more opposite change around here. And I think that is a great precedent to set. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. I'm pumped if I'm Xavier Worthy. The game in terms of release packages, the way you run routes, what he's done in working with Jerry Jeudy, I think a lot of that is applicable to Xavier Worthy, at least in the shorter area, the intermediate routes. I do think also that this is going to help in terms of guys like Noah Gray and like Brenningstool, who I hope that we see sometime soon, because part of that passing game he's been coordinating has been very tight end heavy. And we know if we see Travis Kelce in the Chiefs uniform again, it is going to be for a last ride. We all understand that. And so developing the passing game that works with a fresh set of tight ends, I do think that's important too. And I don't want to let that go unstated again.
Yeah, and I'll be curious. I mean, obviously, as far as we know right now, Tom Melvin is going to be back, so still the same tight end coach, but I do think that there's going to be some similarities and they can work together with the passing game and all of that. So I do expect that that's going to be something that will happen. Still have no idea whether or not Kelsey will be back, but regardless of whether or not he is, you have to think that getting a wide receiver coach that's coached guys like Wes Welker before is going to help Xavier Worthy. It's going to help Rashee Rice. It should help Jalen Royals as well. I mean, there's all of those guys should be better this season than they have been. And, that doesn't even begin to talk about whether or not the Chiefs are going to take a wide receiver. And who knows, maybe they take a wide receiver at number 9 overall in the first round.
Don't even really.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it out there.
So folks, this is what the kids call rage baiting someone, because he knows what I'm going to say about number 9. We are not going there today, but it does give you the ability that you feel like what has been maybe the most frustrating aspect. I mean, for me, the lack of run game is always the frustrating aspect, but the lack of clear development to reach potential of wide receivers in this offense in the last few years. This is an antidote to that problem. And I think that everyone should feel good about that. Whether you are an EB fan or you can't stand that EB is coming back, you're going to get tougher with Eric Bieniemy's presence, period. You're going to get better at the wide receiver position with Chad O'Shea's presence, period. The question becomes, what do you do next?
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of questions. And, I joke a little bit about taking a wide receiver at 9, but who knows? We'll see what it shakes out and how the draft shakes out. Tight end could be another position. Offense could be a position that they look at 9. Both of you and I are on record. If they take a running back, we will not be happy, but that's a whole nother discussion we will talk about at some other point. Regardless, you start looking at Chad O'Shea, this is going to be a good hire for the Chiefs. They should be able to start developing that wide receiver position. And the bigger thing that this is really going to mean, and the thing that excites me about it, is what has Kansas City shown over the Patrick Mahomes era since he's gotten paid? It's that they want to heavily invest in the offensive line position. They're willing to pay the offensive line position. And what that means is if you're going to pay offensive line, you're probably not going to be paying the wide receiver position as well. And with that thought process, somebody that can develop young guys that you go out and draft becomes even more valuable and more necessary.
Yeah. For every superstar you have on your roster, you need 5 guys on rookie contracts. It's just that simple. In order to maintain your cap advantage and move that along, you have to have people to develop them. That's what we haven't seen. Now, there are other positions that are not filled yet. There are other gaps. There are other coaches that have left. A couple that are very, very specific to what has to happen next are part of this process. And I think doubled up. Whoever the new running backs coach has to deal with Eric Bieniemy, and I'm here for that next. Kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. When I stay on top of it, my energy, my focus, and mood all stay up and stay good. But let's be real, plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or trying to stay consistent with your health goals. This is where Drip Drop comes in. Doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Think clearer, focus, better energy, elevated mood, even the fresh skin glow if that's what you're looking for. I put it into my daily routine because that's what makes me consistent, not just for workouts, but every performance, every podcast, everywhere, all the time. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off of your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use that code LOCKEDONNFL. Wildcard round is almost over, and we are ready to move on to the second round. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel gives users a way to get a profit boost pack waiting for them right inside the app. Each game day, you go see a pack with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to your bets anytime you want. Open your Profit Boost pack first thing on game day, and you'll see what boost that you have available to apply. The boost can let you lean into game day instincts, whether you're backing and looking and trying to ride momentum or the defense or the quarterback play or exactly what the coaches are going to do because they just don't really like each other. There's a lot that goes on. You can make your picks and apply your Profit Boost to get even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your Profit Boost on every NFL playoff game day. There's a lot that goes into building a staff, and luckily, I really appreciate the O'Shea signing, hiring, because it is from outside the building. I hope the same thing happens with the running back position. Now, Eric has been in Chicago. He has been in Washington. He's got a little bit of a vibe with some of the younger kids because he was at UCLA for a while. Whoever it is going to have to work for him. And working for Eric Bieniemy is maybe not all it's cracked up to be, especially if you're coaching his position. So I think whoever that has to be, I hope that it's from outside the organization yet again. And I hope it's somebody that has some experience working for or with Eric Bieniemy so they can stay on the same page. Because what I don't want for Rashard Smith or whoever else ends up with him in this backfield is contrasting coaching. They got to be in lockstep, and I do think they need fresh eyes as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because you have a position group that only really has Rashard Smith next year. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, you're not bringing back Pacheco. He's going to get a free agent deal somewhere, and it's not going to be in Kansas City. At least I would expect he's going to get a free agent deal. I guess I should be clear on that. I don't think that the Chiefs want to sign him for what I think that he could get on the open market. Now, if he doesn't get a good deal, maybe he ends up back in Kansas City, but I'll be really surprised by it. I wouldn't be shocked if Kareem Hunt is back just because he's a veteran that they can sign after the draft. And I don't think anybody else will be really looking to bring him back. But I do think that they will be drafting a running back and maybe even signing a free agent running back. Not an expensive free agent running back because I don't see them doing that. But I do think that they could, draft and bring in a free agent. So it's going to be interesting to see how they shape their running game this year, how they attack changing that running scheme that's just absolutely could do nothing this season. And the bigger question I have when you start talking about how this is going to play out is, can Bieniemy kind of get Reid to a point where he's going to run the ball a little bit more? And it doesn't have to be 10, 20, 30% more. It just needs to be, can he get him to run, a couple more plays a game in situations where you'd expect the Chiefs to pass? Can you keep it to where it's not necessarily a run pass option? Because generally, that 90% of the time when it's a run pass option, Mahomes is going to be throwing the ball. You need to use some of the variability and use the running game. So I do think that that's a huge one. When you look at how this is also going to shake out, you have to wonder, is anything else going to happen and change on the Chiefs offensive staff? They still have, Tom Melvin, I don't think that they have any qualms if he comes back.
Not at all.
Andy Heck, I don't know. Is he going to be back in 2026? We haven't heard anything yet, but you have to wonder if that was waiting on the offensive line or not on the offensive line, on the offensive coordinator position, or if it was just a matter of he's going to be back in 2026. But I know that there are a lot of people that have been talking about that, me included.
Yeah, and honestly, you do have to take a look at it because especially if you think there's going to be a shift in the way the running attack works, there has to be a shift in the way the offensive line is coached. That is part and parcel. I think this offensive line has the ability, the players, to be multiple. I don't think this has to be strictly an outside zone team. I know Andy wants it to be, but they have to be able, like a couple of years ago, sprinkle in enough power that you can get something done. You have to have not just Kareem Hunt be the guy that makes you good in short yardage. You have to come off the ball better. And I think you have to look at possibly changing that up to fit with where the offense needs to go, not just where it's been.
And I will also say this. One of the things that I've liked watching some of the different games in the playoffs is you get to see some of the teams that run more 6 offensive linemen at times. I don't understand. The Chiefs have the ability. I think that they have a sixth offensive lineman that they could have brought in and run in some short yardage situations. I really hope that when you start looking at what you're going to be doing in 2026 as an offense, you consider the different formations that you can use, the different types of plays you can use in short yardage. Yeah, it's great to be able to run the ball and to just take, and go get your 2 or 3 yards or 4 yards, whatever you need in the short yardage situation. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying when you start talking about being predictable or unpredictable, this is one of those areas where you should be a little bit more unpredictable. The teams know what's generally coming when you get into a short yardage situation, and when you're running the ball in the same kind of scenario time and time again, and you run the same type of play on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 multiple times in the season, teams are going to start stopping you. Where you need to get creative and have multiple different play calls, a sheet of 20 or 30 that you feel comfortable with in those short yardage situations, lots of different formations, or I don't even care if you use the same formation and have 10 different plays you can run from it.
That's a plus. I'm saying bring back the fullback too. I mean, if we're going to change the way we do this, last time Eric Bieniemy was here was the last time we had a fullback that had an impact. So there could be changes afoot that I like as well. And I hope that everything's on the table, because I think what this last 2-year stretch should show you is that it's so heavily dependent on Patrick Mahomes for success that you can't afford to burn a year of Patrick Mahomes. That just cannot happen. So give him as much support as you can, as many different ways as you can. Overall, just bottom line today, these two we're calling hirings because they're not official yet, but are you happy with them, plus or minus, thumbs up or down? What do you got?
I am going to say I'm not sure on Eric Bieniemy. I'm happy with the wide receiver coach, and I'm not sure about Bieniemy because it's bringing back something that you already had. I kind of wanted to see something a little bit different and new, but I understand why they're doing it. So I will reserve my my comments on that one to see kind of what the offense looks like coming out of training camp, and are they doing new things? Are they starting to do things that they haven't done for the past couple of years? That's the real big key for me, is can they change the offense? Can they get back to a creative offense? Because that's what they had when Bieniemy was here. Before we go, though, bottom line needs, we have talked all offense, and it makes sense because we're talking mainly about Bieniemy, but they still need defensive help on the defensive coaching staff too. And it does look like Steve Spagnuolo is more than likely staying in Kansas City at this point, based on the coaching hires around the NFL.
Agreed. And Joe Cullen was taking at least an interview, if not a couple. So we'll see if anything comes of that. It is mostly right now focused on the offensive side, but we could see some movement on the Chiefs staff on the defensive side as well. When we have that, we will let you know immediately, obviously, and we'll break it all down for you, as I will tonight. For those of you that are not RGR subscribers, go get over there as well, because the national championship in college football is playing tonight, and we will be live for a portion of it. We usually do Q&A, but we're going to do a little live breakdown of the Natty game, because some of those players, both in Indiana and on Miami, are very high on possible lists to become Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think any of you should miss that, but I hope that you enjoy it. Chris, are you going to watch?
I am going to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it will be a very, very fun game. We'll see if it's the boat race that a lot of people are predicting. I think it's probably more than likely, but I want to see it come to fruition. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and you're one of the everydayers. Check out the Everydayer Club if you want those benefits, like our own specific Discord that you can get in and the audio-free feed. Check it all out. We'll be back with you with Matt Derrick tomorrow. Thanks for your time and listening. We'll talk to you then.